Harry Stanenbaum on the line?
Jim Sloan's on the line.
Thanks.
It is 10 o'clock. This is Jim Young, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Karen, did you want to take roll?
I'm going to do it by who I don't believe I have, and that would be for your committee only, Harry Stanenbaum.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. And then I just need to be sure that staff is on. Bill, Pete, and Carl, are you on?
Pete, Russ, and Katie are on this line.
Bill and Carl are good. Bill, Schwinn, and Carl are online.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I believe we're ready to go. We've got everybody else. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, we will move to item number 2.01, minutes of the last meeting, May 12th. Any changes or additions or corrections? Hearing none, we will accept them as a list. New business as 3.01, review of the April 2020 financials. Pete, are you ready to go?
Good morning, everybody. The income statement for April and our year-to-date, especially April, was a kind of a dichotomy. We had the operating income that has struggled with some of the golf revenues, and then the capital-related benefited from some of the resurgence of the stock market. I'll get into some detail on each. First of all, we're all aware of the impact COVID-19 is having upon our lives. It's also impacting the income statement. The most impactful was the 2-week closure of the golf courses, due in part to some golfers not complying with safety measures enacted within Rec Center's Sun City West pandemic response plan. One benefit of this closure was the lack of players upon the courses permitted some deep aerification and watering of the grounds, and that helped facilitate transition from hot weather Bermuda grass. And on one other side benefit was that it also compressed the normal grass transition period from 5 weeks to 2.5 weeks, such that upon reopening, all the courses were available for play, wherein normally our courses are individually closed due to the transitions. The loss of revenue during the peak season, however, was significant, as golf and golf-related revenues were short to budget in April by approximately $575,000. The overall revenues being down $788,000. The remaining shortfall occurred mostly in membership due to low amounts of guest passes, tenant cards, and transfer fees, which occurred due to slower home sales. Bowling and special events also had negative revenues, not only due to closure, but we issued some refunds. We did have some expense offsets, particularly in utilities and supplies due to the closed facilities. Salaries were also below budget. Most staff were able to perform their duties from home, and almost all golf-related staff continued to work unabated. The Rec Center did pursue one of the Paycheck Protection programs, which required the facility maintain staffing at existing levels prior to the pandemic. And recently, we were able to secure a loan of approximately $2.3 million, to which after 8 more weeks at existing staffing, we can then apply for loan forgiveness. It is not known, however, when the application will be approved or declined, so it will remain within the balance sheet as increased operating cash with a corresponding liability. Again, I mentioned earlier, the capital-related portion of the income statement had a sizable benefit within unrealized gains due to the resurgence of the stock and bond markets. The impact of unrealized gains is back essentially to neutral year-to-date. All of this, therefore, transpired to turn a approximately $58,000 positive variance that existed year-to-date through March to budget, and it moves it to a negative $493,000 year-to-date. Moving forward, it is anticipated that golf revenues returning to normal should lower the loss levels in both May and June. So that's essentially the update. Any questions?
Hello. Yes, I have a question. This is John Hobolt.
Go ahead.
My question for Pete refers back to the loan, Pete, the $2.3 million loan. I understand that it's now posted on the balance sheet, so we have an asset. I'd like to test my understanding of that if I could, and then you have a chance to jump in and correct this if I don't have it right. If this plays out and the approval of that loan, and then subsequently we meet the terms and the loan is forgiven, and that were to occur in fiscal 2021, how would that be treated? Would that be treated as other income that would just uh, the income statement in some month in next year? And if not, can you explain that a little bit better for me? Thank you.
I appreciate that. You're not going to like my answer. We did submit that question to our internal auditors, Clifton Larson. Since it would, well, first of all, timing. We won't be received on May 6th, so it will actually hit with May's balance sheet. The first effort we will ever do to apply will be in the fiscal year 2021, as you alluded to. And thus, I've heard questions on this twofold, John. One was, is it built into the budget? You have to spend it, and how are you going to record it? So the first one, as we mentioned, is we recorded it as a liability. We will be submitting the application in mid to late July. We are spending all the payroll. Our FTE count has maintained at or above the baseline that the loan forgiveness terms will apply. And then lastly, which is your main question, was how are we going to book it? And that question is not known at this time.
When you say it's not known, we'll have the money. It's somewhere though, won't it? Won't we in next year?
Not sure. As I kind of pointed out in my narrative, everybody's going with the presumption it will be approved. We don't know that. The loan forgiveness is an application. If approved, we posed that question as to how they would record that onto the income statement, and Clifton Larson has not presented us with an update yet.
Okay. Well, I know there are some unknowns, and you know, it sounds like you're way ahead of the curve on tracking all that. So I think we're in good hands. I appreciate you sharing what you could about it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
There was one item, Jim, that I was intending to highlight. It does is worthy of some discussion, I believe. The asset preservation fee in April did experience some shortfall. We still recorded a relatively significant number, but against comparables to prior year and budget, we came up relatively short. Sadly, that does appear like it's continuing into May. Just this morning, we have recorded about 55 net APF fees, and that with 25, 31st of that, we can expect to be in the 70 to 75 range, which will be pretty significantly short of some comps, both budget and prior year as well. So,
what was it the year before? Do you know?
I believe our comp was 144.
Okay, that is quite a bit different.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? George, are you ready to move this to the governing board?
Jim, I would be lovely and very happily to move this forward to the governing board.
Okay. Any objections? Yeah, we'll move on unanimously. The next one is Vanguard update. I guess that's you, Pete, also.
In front of you now should be appearing the cash and investment balances that's within the monthly financial packet. And on a broad description that I presented at previous BNFs, or as recently when this was start to make it part of the normal agenda, Beginning point that I kind of consider the starting point of some of the decline occurred on February 23rd. And on that date, we had 23.6 million in the Vanguard fund. As of this weekend, or as of last night's close, that has descended by $1 million, 1.0, for a decline of 4.2%. The broader market, S&P, was 3,338 as of February 28th. It has declined to 2955, which is down 11.5%. And so, again, we remain diversified and are able to offset some of that impact. A reminder that 3.8 million still resides on the spreadsheet in front of you right here. 3.8 million resides in the JP Morgan investments, and those are invested in money market and CDs with no exposure to any principal loss. We mentioned this earlier that as of mandate or the policies that we don't hold anything more than 20% in any one individual fund, and some of that had to be rebalanced in middle of March, I believe, so to keep the ratio of 60-40 consistent. That was a relatively minor transaction, but it just shows that Vanguard is watchdogging that all the time. And then if you notice on a year-to-date down here, we began the beginning of the year at 21.8. The investment still has netted 493,000, and as I mentioned, the year-to-date unrealized gains has essentially moved to no impact, 31,000 down, but it's essentially flat to the beginning of the year. And so that's the update, if you will, for Vanguard.
Any questions? I don't know that we have to do anything with this. Just move it on to just a file under the governing board, I guess, isn't it?
Yes, it was just a presentation. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Any objections? Unanimously moved. We have committee comments. I'd like to hear from everybody. Start with George.
Thank you, Jim. Listen, Pete, thank you for the update. And I just think that this is, we see the path, even though we were closed this time, our income was in excess of our expenses. And that just shows that our staff does a great job at this. Thank you.
And?
I just appreciated seeing the presentations this morning, and kudos to the staff for the job they're doing. Thank you.
Lisa?
It was a great presentation to the staff. Thank you so much, you guys. Well done.
John Hobart?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Young. I'm going to probably be a little more verbose here in my comments, but basically I have two. The first is a huge compliment to Bill Schwinn, Pete Finelli, and countless probably unnamed others who know who they are, but I don't. They've done a great job with the physical changes and adjustments that we all see around the community. And as I've noticed all these signs, I've had questions in my mind. Oh boy, I wonder what that is costing us. I wonder what the impact on the community is. Are these big? Are they small? And so on and so forth. And quite honestly, the job they've done is excellent. And then it's only equaled by this financial package that I think, especially the supplemental sheets that were not reviewed here, they answered, in my mind, virtually every question I had about the impact of the coronavirus on our community. And it's just great to go through this and see the transparency that exists. So great job. Thank you. My second comment is a little bit of this financial package may be presenting itself to us a bit as the canary in the mine, or the wake-up call. I think it's very possible that the next year, fiscal 21, we could see easily a $2 million hit on budgeted revenue for the year, between golf fees, bowling fees, home sales, and membership fees. It would not be a far-fetched scenario to have it unwind with a large negative. And if you just take my 2 million number, that is, obviously everybody can have their own number, I believe that kind of matches up with the delayable capital jobs that we were identified and talked about in prior meetings. So again, I would just say, well done, in that the staff has put together something that allows us to be as well positioned as we can going forward. So not only have they reacted to what's gone on, but I think they've put us in a very good position going forward to protect the community as best can be done. That's my comment. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, John. John Nichols?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say here, I agree with John's statements 100%. I do appreciate the staff. I'm very impressed with keeping on top of all this for the last few months. That's did my comments. Thank you.
Harry?
Yeah, yes, this is my first year on the committee. I've learned a lot, and I've really enjoyed working with the group and seeing the work that Pete does. It's been a rewarding year.
Marshall?
Yeah, I want to just reiterate everybody's thoughts. I really appreciate the staff a lot, and they've done a great job. And Bill, I know your favorite part of the newspaper is the opinion page, and I need to let you know that some of us have gone through that and look forward to the newspaper, and that's the first place you turn. But don't let anybody tell you you haven't done a great job. That's all.
Thank you. The next would be the public. Is there anyone on the phone that would like to make a comment? Hearing none, I'm going to make the final one, and that is, first of all, committee, thank you very much for the year. I'm pretty sure this will be our last meeting. We may have one more, but we'll know if we do. But I appreciate all of the time and effort. It's been a hard year as far as trying to get together. It's a little more difficult over the phone to hold a meeting, but good job. John Howell kind of took the sails out of my speech, because what he said was a lot of what I wanted to reiterate. The staff, Pete, have grown into this job, and Bill, and we appreciate all of the stuff that the staff does. We're here just to assist, and we thank you very much. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.